close your eyes. Let your breath slow. Feel the weight of your body settle, like a ship finding still water. You are standing on a wooden dock. It is the year 1405. The air is warm, heavy. It smells of salt and tar and something sweet you cannot name. Before you, in the dark harbor of Nanjing, something impossible floats. A ship so vast it swallows the horizon. 400 feet of camphor wood and teak. 9 masts rising into the night like the spines of a sleeping dragon. This is a Baokuan, a treasure ship. The largest wooden vessel ever built by human hands. And there are dozens of them. They creak softly in the tide. A deep, low groan, the sound of ancient trees remembering the forests they came from. Run your fingers along the railing. Feel the grain beneath your palm. Smooth where 10,000 hands have touched it before yours. The Yangtze River laps against the hull. A quiet, patient rhythm, over and over. Somewhere below deck, incense is burning. Sandalwood. It curls through the corridors and finds you here, on the dock, like a whisper. Tonight, you will board this ship. Tonight, you will sail with Admiral Zheng He and his fleet of 300 vessels and 28,000 souls across the vast, dark Indian Ocean. You will taste cardamom on your tongue in the markets of Calicut. You will feel the monsoon winds press against your chest like a warm hand. You will watch the Southern Cross appear above waters no one from your homeland has ever seen. But not yet. For now, just breathe. Feel the dock sway beneath your feet. Listen to the water. Listen to the wood. Listen to the vast, patient silence of a fleet preparing to sail into the unknown. The stars above Nanjing are endless tonight, and the ocean is waiting. Let us begin. A gangplank stretches before you, wide as a road. You step forward. The wood bends beneath your weight, just slightly, just enough to remind you that everything here is alive. Your bare foot meets the deck of the treasure ship, and you feel it. A hum, deep below the planks, deep below the waterline. The river pressing against 400 feet of hull, and the hull pressing back. The wood is warm, thick as the length of your forearm. Camphor wood, cut from trees that were ancient before your grandfather was born. You can smell it, a faint sweetness rising from the grain, like a forest after rain. Stand here for a moment. Feel the deck beneath your feet. Feel how solid it is, how impossibly vast. The ship stretches ahead of you and behind you, and you cannot see either end. Above, the 9 masts disappear into the dark. Their sails are furled, resting, waiting, like lungs that have not yet drawn breath. A crewman passes you without a word. His footsteps are soft. He carries a coil of rope over one shoulder, thick as a man's wrist. The smell of hemp trails behind him like a ghost. Follow him. He leads you toward the center of the ship, where a wide staircase descends below deck. You go down. 1 step, 2. The air changes. It is warmer here, closer. The sound of the river becomes muffled, like a voice heard through a wall. And the smell. Oh, the smell. Lacquer, sharp and clean, like the first breath of winter. It coats the beams above your head in layers so thick they gleam like black water. And beneath the lacquer, something softer. Raw silk, bolts and bolts of it stacked in the cargo hold to your left. Pale gold and ivory, and the deep red of pomegranate seeds. You reach out. Your fingers brush the surface of the silk. It is cool, almost liquid. It slides beneath your touch like water that has learned to hold still. Beyond the silk, there are crates, porcelain wrapped in straw. Each bowl and vase nested so carefully that the entire hold is silent. Nothing shifts, nothing clinks, just the deep, slow breathing of a ship at rest. You move deeper. In the next chamber, the crew is settling in. Hammocks hang in long rows, swaying gently with the river's pulse. A man is already asleep. His breathing is slow and even. It mixes with the creak of the ropes that hold him. Another man sits cross-legged on the floor, sharpening a knife with a stone. The sound is soft, rhythmic. A whisper of metal against rock, over and over, like a lullaby he is singing to himself. No one speaks. There is nothing left to say. Everything has been loaded. Everything has been blessed. The astrologers have read the stars and chosen this night. You climb back up to the deck. The air opens around you again, cool and wide. The Yangtze stretches out in every direction, black and silver under the moon. And then you hear it. A gong. Low, so low you feel it in your ribs before you hear it in your ears. It rolls across the harbor like distant thunder. Then another. From a ship behind you. And another. Further away. Fainter. The fleet is waking. 300 ships answering one another in the dark. A conversation too deep for words. You feel the deck shift beneath your feet. Not much. A whisper of movement. The mooring lines are released. Heavy ropes slide through iron rings with a slow, groaning exhale. They splash into the water one by one. And the ship begins to move. So slowly. So gently you might have imagined it. But the dock is pulling away. The lanterns on the harbor wall grow smaller. The voices of Nanjing fade into the sound of water. The current has you now. The great Yangtze carrying you and 28,000 souls east toward the sea. The sails remain furled. There is no need for wind. The river knows the way. You lean against the railing. The wood is cool now, damp with river mist. The city disappears behind you. The world becomes water and wood and sky. Ahead, the river widens. And beyond the river, you can smell it already. Salt. The sea is waiting. The salt grows stronger. You feel the change before you see it. The river's current, which carried you so gently, begins to pull in 2 directions, then 3. The water beneath the hull is no longer smooth. It has a new voice, deeper, wider, a voice that has traveled across half the world to meet you here at the river's mouth. The South China Sea. You cannot see where the river ends and the ocean begins, but your body knows. The deck tilts. Just slightly. A long, slow lean to the left. Then back. Then slowly, slowly to the right. The ocean is breathing, and now, so is the ship. You grip the railing, not from fear, from wonder. 400 feet of wood and iron rising on the back of a wave as though it weighs nothing at all. You rise with it. Your stomach lifts. Your chest opens. For one long, weightless moment, you are suspended between the water and the sky. And then the ship settles, gently, like a palm laid flat on still water, and rises again, over and over, a rhythm older than language. Behind you, a sound. Canvas. The sails are being unfurled. You hear the crewmen call to one another, not shouts, low murmurs, the way you speak inside a temple. The ropes pull taut with a groan. The bamboo battens creak as the great red sails spread open against the dark. And then the wind finds them. A deep exhale. The canvas swells outward like a chest drawing breath. The entire ship leans forward, just barely, and the water beneath the bow begins to hiss. You feel it on your face now. The wind, warm and wet and endless. It carries the smell of open water, of depth, of distances your mind cannot hold. A fine mist settles on your arms. Sea spray lifted from the bow wave, each droplet cool and sharp as a tiny star against your skin. You taste it on your lips, salt, clean and ancient. The coastline is gone now. There's no land in any direction, only water, only sky, and above you, oh, the stars. You have never seen so many. Without the glow of the city, without the haze of the river, the sky has opened like a door you did not know was closed. Thousands of them, tens of thousands. A powder of light scattered across the black so thickly that the darkness between them seems like the exception. Near the stern, a man stands very still. The navigator. He holds a wooden instrument to his eye, an astrolabe, worn smooth by years of use. He does not hurry. He does not frown. He simply watches. He finds one star, then another. He measures the distance between them with the patience of a man reading a letter from an old friend. The stars are not a mystery to him. They are a road his teachers walked and their teachers before them. He lowers the astrolabe, nods once, says nothing. The ship knows where it is going. You lie down on the deck. The wood is warm from the day's sun. It holds the heat the way skin holds a blush. Your back presses into it, and the warmth rises through you slowly. The ship rises. You rise. The ship falls. You fall. There is no difference between your body and the body of this vessel. You are part of the wood, part of the wave, part of the long, slow breath of the sea. Above you, the stars turn. So slowly you will never catch them moving. But they are. Wheeling westward, carrying the night toward the places you are going. The sails sigh. The hull groans its low, contented song. The water whispers against the bow. And somewhere ahead, beyond the curve of the dark horizon, the air is growing thicker, warmer. It smells of rain and green things and spice. But that is still many waves away. For now, just this, the rise, the fall, the stars. The rise, the fall, the stars. And then, one morning that you barely remember waking into, the stars are gone. The sky has lowered itself. It hangs above the masts like a gray silk curtain, heavy with water it has carried from jungles you will never see. The air has changed. It is thick now, so thick you can feel it press against your chest when you breathe. Warm and wet and sweet with the smell of green things rotting and growing at the same time. The ocean has narrowed. On both sides of the ship, far away but visible through the haze, there is land, low and dark, a tangle of mangrove and palm that seems to breathe with its own slow rhythm. This is the Strait of Malacca, the thinnest passage between two oceans, a corridor of shallow green water barely 40 miles wide, pressed between Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula like a river caught between two sleeping giants. And the fleet has stopped. Not because something is wrong, because the wind has stopped. This is the place where the monsoons meet. The great northeast wind that carried you here from Nanjing dies in this strait. It has pushed you as far as it can. And the southwest monsoon, the wind that will carry you across the Indian Ocean to India and beyond, has not yet been born. Between the two winds, there is nothing. Stillness. A pause in the breathing of the planet. The sails hang limp. The great red canvas that swelled so proudly on the open sea now rests against the masts like curtains in a room with no breeze. The water beneath the hull is flat, almost oily, It reflects the gray sky so perfectly that the ship seems to float between two identical worlds. Every fleet that has ever crossed between east and west has waited here. Arab dhows, Indian junks, Javanese outriggers. They have all sat in this same stillness, in this same thick air, watching the sky for the sign that the winds are turning. Weeks, sometimes. There is nothing to do but wait. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow to match the pace of a world that has stopped moving. And then the rain begins. Not with warning, not with thunder. It simply appears, 1,000 warm drops arriving all at once, as though the sky has quietly decided to dissolve. It falls on the deck around you, each drop heavy and round. You hear them strike the wood like fingertips on a drum. Soft, patient, endless. The rain is warmer than your skin. It runs down your arms, and it feels like the air itself has learned to touch you. The teak darkens beneath it. It releases a deep, sweet smell. Old wood and old rain meeting again as they have met for centuries in this very strait. Through the rain, lights appear. Small, amber, trembling. Lanterns hanging from the bows of wooden boats so small they could fit inside the shadow of your ship. Dozens of them. Drifting toward the fleet from the haze like fireflies over a dark field. The floating market of the strait. It comes to you because you are too vast to go to it. 300 ships at anchor. 28,000 mouths to feed. An entire city waiting in the rain. You lean against the wet railing and look down. A woman in a narrow canoe holds up a basket. You cannot see inside, but the smell reaches you before she speaks. Pepper. Black pepper, so fresh the oils bead on the surface of each corn like tiny drops of dark rain. The scent rises through the humid air and prickles at the back of your throat. Sharp, alive, older than any dynasty. Behind her, another boat. A man lifts a cloth bundle and peels back the fabric. Cloves. The sweetness hits you like a memory you cannot place. Thick and aching and impossibly rich. These cloves were not grown here. They come from a handful of volcanic islands 1,000 miles to the east. The Moluccas. Tiny specks of land in a sea so remote that most of the world does not know they exist. They grow nowhere else on Earth. And beside the cloves, nutmeg. Rounder, warmer, a smell like wood smoke wrapped in honey. It comes from an even smaller place, the Banda Islands, 10 volcanic peaks rising from the deep ocean, so isolated that the birds there have never learned to fear humans. A single sack of what you are smelling now, if carried to the cold, gray markets of Bruges or Venice, would purchase a house, a large one, with land. Decades from now, fleets from the west will cross oceans to find these tiny islands. Empires will clash to control the trees that grow here. They will build heavy stone fortresses on volcanic rock. The course of history will be forever changed for this very scent. But tonight, in the rain, it is simply handed up in a basket. And in return, a crate of porcelain is lowered down, blue and white, painted with dragons and clouds by hands in Yangtze 4 months ago, in a world that feels as distant as a dream. This is how trade works under the shadow of the treasure fleet. Quietly. Zheng He has not come to conquer this strait. He has come to order it. His officers distribute gifts, silk, gold, the official Ming calendar, which declares what year it is and what season governs the planting of rice. They offer standard weights and measures, so that a pound of pepper in Malacca means the same as a pound of pepper in Nanjing. It is not an empire built by the sword. It is an empire built by the scale. by the shared agreement of what things weigh and what time it is, and the quiet understanding that 300 ships at anchor make argument unnecessary. The lanterns rock gently in the rain. Voices drift up from the water. Malay, Tamil, Javanese, Arabic. They blend together into a low murmur, indistinguishable from the rain itself, a lullaby sung in every language at once. From the distant shore, beyond the curtain of rain, smoke rises. Cooking fires, charcoal and coconut husk, something roasting that smells of caramel and earth. Spice, then smoke, smoke, then rain, rain, then spice. You breathe it in, and you hold it, and you let it go. The hours pass like water beneath a hull. And then, sometime before dawn, you feel it. On your cheek. A breath. Faint, warm, coming from the southwest. The monsoon is turning. The navigator stands at the stern. He holds a wet finger to the air and closes his eyes. He stays like this for a long time. Then he opens his eyes and nods. The lanterns on the water scatter. The small boats pull away, dissolving into the mist like embers cooling in the dark. The murmur of voices fades until it is only rain, and then not even rain. The sails shudder. Canvas shifts against bamboo. A creak runs through the rigging like a long sigh. The wind fills the sails from behind, gently, firmly, the way a hand rests on the small of your back and guides you forward. The fleet begins to move. Ahead, beyond the mouth of the strait, the Indian Ocean waits. Wider than any sea you have ever known, deep enough to swallow mountains, dark enough to hold every secret the world has ever kept. The scent of cloves still lingers on the railing beneath your fingers. It will stay there for weeks. A ghost of the Banda Islands, carried in the grain of the wood, sailing with you now into the deep water. The strait is behind you now. The land on both sides has fallen away like hands releasing you into open water. And the ocean has changed. You feel it in the rhythm of the ship. The short, shallow rocking of the strait is gone. In its place, something vast, something slow. The swells here are enormous, but they are gentle. Long, rolling hills of water that take 10 seconds to pass beneath the hull. The ship climbs one side, pauses at the crest, and slides down the other in a long, slow exhale that pulls your stomach toward your spine. Over and over. The Indian Ocean. There is no land ahead for 2,000 miles. No reef, no island. Only water so deep that if you dropped a stone from the bow, it would fall for 3 miles before it touched the bottom. And yet you are not afraid. Your body knows why, even if your mind has not yet found the words. It is the ship. Go below. Down the wide staircase, past the silk and the porcelain and the sleeping crew. Deeper. The air is warmer here, denser. It smells of camphor and bilge water and the faint, sweet ghost of cloves that has worked its way into every surface of this ship. Now press your hand against the wall. Feel it. This is not a wall. It is a bulkhead. A solid partition of camphor wood, 6 inches thick, sealed with layers of tung oil and lime until it is as waterproof as stone. There is another one behind you, and another ahead. The hull of this ship is not one hollow space. It is divided into dozens of sealed chambers, a grid of watertight compartments, each one independent, each one a ship within a ship. If the hull is pierced, one compartment floods, only one. The others hold. The ship sails on. Chinese shipwrights have known this secret for 500 years. They learned it, some say, from watching the inside of a bamboo stalk. how it is divided into sealed segments by thin, hard walls, how each segment holds its own air, its own water, how the stalk bends but does not break. European ships will not learn this for another 4 centuries. But you do not think about Europe tonight. You think about bamboo and the quiet genius of watching a reed grow beside a river and understanding what it has to teach. Press your cheek against the bulkhead. It is cool, smooth from the lacquer. You can feel the ocean on the other side, a low pulse, a heartbeat that is not yours. You are standing inside the ribcage of something vast and alive, and it will not let you drown. Climb back up. Slowly. The night air finds you again, warm and wide. Near the stern, a lantern burns behind a screen of oiled paper. Its light falls on a small table bolted to the deck. And on the table, a bronze bowl. Walk toward it. The bowl is the width of your 2 palms, filled to the brim with water. Still water. Perfectly still, even as the ship sways beneath it. Floating on the surface, a sliver of iron, a needle magnetized by lodestone and set upon a tiny raft of wood no bigger than a fingernail. It points south. Always south. The water compass. Watch how the water absorbs the rocking of the ship. The bowl tilts with the deck, but the surface stays level, and the needle stays true. A small, quiet miracle of physics, repeated every second of every hour of every day of this crossing. The navigator sits beside it. He does not touch it. He simply watches. The way you watch a candle flame. The way you watch your own breath when you are trying to fall asleep. In his other hand, he holds a flat piece of wood, square, no larger than a book. A Changxingban, a guiding starboard. He lifts it to arm's length and closes one eye. Along the bottom edge, he aligns the horizon. Along the top, he finds a star. Not just any star. Polaris, the northern nail around which the entire sky revolves. The width of the board between the horizon and the star tells him exactly how far north he is, to the width of a finger. He has 12 boards of different sizes, each one a different distance, a different latitude, a different chapter in a book written not in ink, but in the space between the sea and the stars. He lowers the board. He makes a mark on a chart you cannot read. He knows exactly where you are. In the middle of 2,000 miles of nothing, on a dark ocean, on a moonless night, he knows. It is 1405. In Portugal, Prince Henry has not yet built his navigation school at Sagres. Columbus will not be born for another 46 years. Vasco da Gama will not round the tip of Africa for another 93. The great European age of exploration is still a dream waiting to be dreamt. And here, beneath your feet, a floating city of 28,000 people crosses the widest ocean on Earth with the confidence of a man walking home in the dark because he has walked that road 1,000 times. The needle points south. The stars wheel overhead. The bulkheads hold. You lie down on the deck. The wood is warm. It has stored the heat of the equatorial sun all day, and now it gives it back to you, slowly, the way the earth gives back warmth on a summer night long after the light is gone. The ship rises. You rise. The ship falls. You fall. But falling here is not falling. It is being lowered, gently, by something so large and so patient that trust is not a choice. It is simply what your body does. The compass needle drifts in its bowl of still water. The navigator breathes. The bulkheads hold. And somewhere ahead, beyond the dark curve of the ocean, the water is growing shallower. The color of the sea is changing from black to green, though you cannot see it yet. There is land ahead. You can smell it the way you smell rain before it arrives. A warmth in the wind, a thickness, the scent of earth and something sharp and golden. Turmeric. India. But it is still many waves away. So let the ship carry you. Let the deep water hold you. Let the ancient stars turn above you in their slow, eternal wheel. The needle points the way. The bulkheads hold. And you are safe. The bulkheads hold, and you are safe. And then, on a morning when the light comes not from above but from ahead, you see it. A thin green line. Low on the horizon, almost indistinguishable from the sea. But the birds know. They have been circling the masts since dawn. White birds with long, curved wings, riding the wind in slow spirals, calling to each other in high, thin voices that sound like questions, asked in a language made entirely of vowels. The water has changed color. The deep black of the open ocean has given way to green, then to turquoise, then to a pale, milky jade that means sand is rising beneath the hull. The Malabar coast, the Pepper coast, the Spice shore, the western edge of India, where the land meets the Arabian Sea and has been meeting it for so long that the sand itself smells of cardamom. The fleet drops anchor in the wide harbor of Calicut. The chains uncoil with a deep, iron groan. Link by link, they slide through the hawse holes and plunge into the warm water. You feel the vibration run through the deck and up through the soles of your feet and into your bones. Then stillness. The ship settles. The rocking softens. You are held between the anchor below and the sky above, and neither one is going anywhere. Calicut. It is 1405, and this is the richest port on earth. Not the largest, not the loudest, the richest. For 1,000 years, every merchant who wanted pepper, every trader who sought gemstones, every ship carrying cotton or teak or cinnamon has come here. Greek traders knew this coast. Roman coins have been found in its soil. Arab merchants have kept houses here for generations, raising families, learning Malayalam, praying in mosques built from Indian wood. The ruler of this coast is the Zamorin. He does not come to the harbor. He does not need to. His kingdom has been conducting trade with the world since before the Ming dynasty existed. Instead, his officials come. They arrive in long, low boats with carved prows. They climb the rope ladders of the treasure ship slowly, with the unhurried dignity of men who have done this with every fleet from every empire that has ever anchored in their waters. You watch from the upper deck. The air is hot, a different heat than the strait. Drier, brighter. The sun presses on the back of your neck like a warm stone. Below you, on the main deck, a canopy has been erected. Red silk stretched over bamboo poles, casting a square of deep shade. Beneath it, Zheng He's officers sit cross-legged on one side. The Zamorin's merchants sit on the other. Between them, a low table. And on the table, a brass scale. It is beautiful. 2 shallow pans suspended from a central beam by chains so fine they look like thread. It is polished until it glows. It has weighed sapphires and cinnamon and the fate of treaties. An Indian merchant reaches into a leather pouch. He pours black peppercorns into the left pan. They rattle against the brass like a handful of tiny stones. You hear each one land. Tick, 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 tick. Black gold. In the cold markets of Alexandria, these peppercorns will be worth their weight in silver. In the courts of Europe, they will season the tables of kings who do not know the name of the tree that grew them, or the hands that picked them in the monsoon rain. On the right pan, a Chinese officer places a bolt of silk, pale blue. It catches the light beneath the canopy and shimmers like water remembering the sky. The scale trembles. Dips left. More silk is added. The pans balance. They hang perfectly level, swaying in the faintest breath of coastal wind. The Indian merchant writes a figure on a palm leaf with a brass stylus. The numerals are precise, elegant, curved symbols that flow across the leaf like music notation. These are the numerals the world will one day call Arabic, but they were born here, in India. Conceived by Hindu mathematicians who understood 0 centuries before the rest of the world had a name for nothing. The Chinese officer studies the figure. He nods. No voices are raised. No hands are slapped on tables. The mathematics speaks for itself. The weight speaks for itself. The scale does not lie, and both sides know how to read it. This is not conquest. This is grammar. The shared grammar of weight and measure and mutual recognition that your civilization is as old and as worthy as mine. Another pouch is opened. Sapphires. 3 of them, no larger than the nail of your smallest finger. They are placed on the brass pan, and they sit there, dark blue, almost black in the shade, holding the light of the Indian Ocean inside their facets like frozen water. Against them, porcelain, a single vase, blue and white, painted with a mountain scene so fine that the brushstrokes are thinner than eyelashes. The merchant holds it up to the light. He turns it slowly. He runs by one finger along the glaze. He smiles. From the shore, the wind carries new smells. Turmeric, deep and golden and slightly bitter, like the earth remembering the sun. Cardamom, green and sharp. It opens something at the top of your chest, behind your collarbone, a place you did not know could feel. And beneath them both, incense, sandalwood and camphor burning in a temple you cannot see. The smoke reaches you across the water in thin, wandering threads. It mixes with the salt air and becomes something sacred and ordinary at the same time. A temple bell rings. Low, bronze. It does not fade quickly. It hangs in the air the way heat hangs over sand. It vibrates at a frequency that you feel in your teeth and in the base of your skull and in the soft space behind your eyes. Another bell answers, further away, higher, and another. They overlap like ripples in a pond. The trade continues for days. But you do not count the days. You watch the brass scale dip and balance, dip and balance. You hear the peppercorns fall like rain on metal. You smell the turmeric deepen in the afternoon heat. You feel the temple bells dissolve into the warm wind. And slowly, the cargo holds fill. Where there was silk, now there is pepper. Where there was porcelain, now there are sapphires wrapped in cotton. Sacks of cardamom stacked beside bundles of cinnamon bark. Rubies the color of the sunset nested in boxes of Indian sandalwood. The ship sits lower in the water now. You can feel it. Heavier, steadier. The swells that once lifted you so easily now barely move the hull. The Zamorans merchants descend the rope ladders for the last time. Their boats pull away from the fleet. One of them raises a hand. Not a wave. A gesture. An acknowledgement between equals that what has been exchanged is fair, and that the sea will bring them together again. The anchor chains groan. Link by link, they rise from the water, dripping, heavy with the salt of the Malabar coast. The sails unfurl. But the fleet does not turn east. It turns west. Further. into waters the star charts barely name, past the Arabian Peninsula, past Hormuz, past the incense coast of Yemen, toward a continent the crew speaks of only in whispers. Africa. The temple bells of Calicut fade behind you, but their vibration stays in the wood, in the brass of the compass bowl, in the bones of your hands where you gripped the railing. The wind is warm, the ship is heavy with treasure, and the ocean ahead is older than anything you have ever known. The wind changes. You have grown so accustomed to the wet, heavy monsoon air that you do not notice at first, but your skin does. It is drier. The moisture that clung to your arms for weeks, that fine tropical film of salt and humidity, begins to evaporate. Your skin tightens, cools. And the smell. It is not the sea. It comes from beyond the sea, from land you cannot yet see, a scent that has traveled across savannas so wide they make oceans seem modest. Red earth. Dry grass. Dust that has not known rain in months, baked by a sun fiercer than any you have felt, carried on a wind that has crossed the body of an entire continent before finding you here, on this dark water. Africa. You have sailed further west than any fleet from the Middle Kingdom has ever gone. The navigators know this. You can see it in the way they study the sky, not with the calm patience of the open ocean crossing, with something quieter, something closer to reverence. Because the stars are wrong. Not wrong. New. The constellations that guided you from Nanjing have drifted toward the northern horizon. Some have disappeared entirely, sinking below the edge of the world, as though the sea has swallowed them. Polaris, the northern nail, the fixed star around which the navigator built his every calculation. It is gone. It sits so low now that the curve of the earth hides it behind a permanent haze of sea and atmosphere. The guiding starboards are useless for a star you cannot find. In its place, the navigator has learned to read the Southern Cross. 4 bright stars arranged in a kite that hangs low over the water to the south. He holds a different board to his eye, measures a different distance, writes new marks on a chart that is being drawn for the first time. No one has written this chart before. He is writing the edge of the known world, and the ink is starlight. The coast appears at dusk. A low, dark line, flat, not the tangled green of Malacca or the bright sand of the Malabar. This coast is the color of rust, of dried blood, of earth that has been old for so long it has forgotten what young means. Malindi, a Swahili port, built from coral stone and mangrove wood. Its towers are white in the last light of the sun. Its harbor is crowded with dhows, their triangular sails folded like the wings of resting birds. The fleet anchors offshore. The chains descend into water that is warm and clear and so shallow you can see the white sand of the bottom glowing faintly, 20 feet below, like a second moon. And then, night. A night so quiet it has weight. The African shore makes no sound you can name. No temple bells, no market hum, only the wind. Dry and vast and carrying somewhere deep inside it, the low vibration of distances your mind cannot hold. And from the darkness beyond the shore, sounds you have never heard. A call, high and strange and lonely, rising from the black grasslands and falling away like a question that does not expect an answer. Then silence. Then another call, deeper, further away. Animals whose names you do not know, speaking to each other across the dark in a language that was old before humans learned to speak. You stand at the railing and listen. The moon rises, full, enormous. It clears the flat horizon and pours silver across the water and the coral towers and the deck where you are standing. And in this light, you see them bringing something aboard. A gangplank has been lowered to a wide, flat barge. Crewmen line both sides, holding lanterns. They are silent. Something is walking up the gangplank. Slowly. You hear the hooves first. Heavy, deliberate. Each step lands on the thick wood with a deep, padded thud that you feel in the deck before you hear it in the air. Thud. 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 And then you see the neck. It rises above the lantern light, above the heads of the crewmen, above the railing. It rises, and it does not stop. A giraffe. 18 feet of silence and impossible grace, walking up a wooden plank onto a ship in the moonlight on the coast of Africa. Its coat is pale gold, mottled with patches of brown that look, in this light, like continents on an ancient map. Its eyes are enormous, dark, fringed with lashes so long they cast shadows on its cheeks. It looks at you. It does not flinch. It does not hurry. It simply looks with the calm, depthless patience of an animal that has never known a predator tall enough to reach it. The crew believes it is a Qilin. The Qilin, the celestial beast of Chinese mythology. A creature said to appear only in times of perfect harmony, only under the reign of a truly virtuous emperor. It walks on the earth but does not crush the grass. It harms no living thing. And here it is, walking across the deck of a treasure ship in the moonlight, its hooves making that slow, heavy sound against the teak. Thud. Thud. Passes close to you. You feel its breath, warm, slow, dry like the Orphican wind itself. It smells of grass and dust and something ancient and vegetable and good. It does not look at you again. It follows its handler down into the hold, lowering its impossible neck to clear the beams, and the sound of its hooves fades below deck like a heartbeat moving away from you in a dream. You stand in the moonlight. The dry wind touches your face. The strange stars burn overhead. The Southern Cross hangs where Polaris should be, and the sky feels inverted, as though you have sailed not just to the other side of the ocean, but to the other side of the world itself. This is as far as they go. You feel it before anyone speaks it, a stillness in the fleet, a held breath. The ships sit at anchor, and for one long, quiet night, they simply exist at the edge of everything that has ever been known. And then, before dawn, the anchors rise. The chains groan, the sails unfurl, but this time the bow swings slowly, slowly, until the strange stars are behind you and the dry wind is on the back of your neck instead of your face. East. Home. The giraffe stands in the hold below your feet, silent, patient, a myth made real, sailing east across the dark water toward an emperor who will weep when he sees it. The African shore fades. The rust-colored coast dissolves into haze. The animal calls disappear into the wind. And the ocean opens before you again. Familiar now. Known. The water that carried you here will carry you back. The stars will shift. Night by night, Polaris will climb back from the horizon. The constellations will return to their proper places, and the air will cool, and the wind will taste of home. But that is still many waves away. For now, the ship turns east, and the deep water holds you, and the journey back has begun. The journey back has begun, and it is different. The sea is the same, the wind is the same, but something in the ship has changed. Something in you has changed. The urgency is gone. There is no unknown ahead, No edge of the map pulling you forward. There is only the long, slow unwinding of a thread that was stretched across half the world, now gathering itself back, turn by gentle turn. The fleet sails east, and the stars begin to come home. On the first night, you notice it. A faint light on the northern horizon, so dim it could be a ship's lantern, so low it could be a reflection on the water. But it is not. It is Polaris, climbing back. 1 degree above the horizon, then 2. Each night, as the fleet moves north and east, the star rises a little higher, a little brighter, as though it has been waiting beneath the rim of the world for you to return, and now it is lifting its head to watch you come. The navigator sees it too. He takes out the guiding starboards he has not used since the Strait of Malacca. He holds the first one to his eye, too small. He puts it down, picks up the next. He measures the distance between Polaris and the horizon, nods, writes a figure on his chart. He knows exactly how far from home you are. He has translated the entire journey into the language of stars and angles, and now he is reading it backward. A sentence that took months to write, being read from the last word to the first. And it still makes perfect sense. The Southern Cross sinks behind you, night by night. It drops toward the southern horizon the way Polaris once dropped toward the north. The sky is rotating. The world is righting itself. The constellations are returning to the positions you knew as a child. And the ship is heavy. You feel it in the way the hull moves through the water. Deeper, slower. The swells that once tossed the bow now barely lift it. The treasure ship is laden with the weight of the world. Below your feet in the sealed compartments, the cargo has changed. The silk is gone. The porcelain is gone. In their place, black pepper from the Malabar coast. Sacks of it stacked to the ceiling of the hold, filling the darkness with a sharp, warm scent that will never fully leave this wood. Sapphires from Calicut. Rubies wrapped in Indian cotton. Cardamom and cinnamon and sandalwood. Amber and ivory from the Swahili coast. And below all of it, in a special hold lined with straw, a giraffe that sleeps standing up, its long neck swaying with the rhythm of the ship like a mast that has learned to dream. The fleet carries enough treasure to stun an empire. But it carries something heavier than treasure. It carries knowledge. Charts of coastlines that no Chinese eye has ever seen. Drawings of animals that no Chinese brush has ever painted. Words in languages that no Chinese ear has ever heard, transcribed phonetically by scribes who sat in foreign markets and listened and wrote and did not understand, but knew that understanding would come later. They have mapped half the world. From Nanjing to Malindi, from the Yangtze to the coast of Africa, a distance so vast that if you walked it, you would wear through a dozen pairs of shoes and still not be halfway. And they did it in wood, with wind, with a needle floating in a bowl of water, with starlight and mathematics and the patient conviction that the ocean is not an abyss, but a road. You are tired now. A deep tiredness, not the tiredness of effort, the tiredness of completion, the heavy, warm exhaustion that comes after something enormous has been done, and there is nothing left but to rest. Go below. One last time. Down the wide stairs. The air closes around you. Warmer, thicker. The sounds of the deck, the wind, the sails, the spray, fall away behind you like a curtain drawn shut. The corridor is dim. A single lantern sways from a hook, casting a pool of amber light that moves with the ship. Back and forth, back and forth. The wood around you is saturated now. Months of spice have seeped into every plank. every beam, every joint and peg and seam. The air in this corridor is layered, pepper beneath clove, clove beneath cardamom, cardamom beneath the deep, sweet ghost of sandalwood incense that has traveled with you since Calicut. You reach your hammock. It hangs in a row of others, canvas slung between two beams, curved like a cupped hand. You lower yourself into it. Slowly. The canvas takes your weight. It wraps around your shoulders, your hips, your legs. It holds you the way water holds a stone that has finally stopped skipping. The rocking is different down here. Smaller, deeper. The sharp pitch and roll of the deck is filtered through 60 feet of wood and ballast. What reaches you is a slow, heavy sway. Left. Right. Left. Right. The ocean's heartbeat, heard from inside the body of the ship. Through the hull, you hear the water. Not as waves, not as spray, as a low, continuous rushing. A murmur, a sound so constant and so even that it becomes silence. It becomes the sound of your own blood in your own ears. Your arms are heavy. Your legs are heavy. Your eyelids are so heavy they have their own gravity. The lantern sways. The amber light moves across the ceiling like a slow, warm hand smoothing a blanket. Somewhere above you, the navigator watches Polaris climb. Somewhere below you, the giraffe sleeps standing, its heartbeat as slow as the tide. Somewhere ahead, across the dark water, the Yangtze waits to welcome you home. But you will not be awake to see it. Your breathing has slowed. It matches the sway of the hammock. It matches the rush of the water through the hull. It matches the slow turning of the stars above the masts. Everything is the same rhythm now. The ship and the ocean and the stars and your breath. One rhythm. One slow, deep, ancient pulse. Carrying you home. Carrying you down. Carrying you toward the softest, deepest, most complete rest you have ever known. The wood remembers every mile. And so somewhere inside you, do you? But you do not need to hold those memories tonight. Let them settle, like sediment in still water, like spice in old wood. Let them keep. The ship knows the way. The ship knows the way, and you are asleep. The fleet sails on without you. Through the strait, through the shallows, through the warm, familiar waters of the South China Sea. You do not feel the river take hold of the hull. You do not hear the gongs of Nanjing. You do not see the emperor's men standing on the dock in their silk robes, waiting to weep at the sight of a giraffe descending a gangplank in the morning light. You sleep through all of it, and that is as it should be. The journey is complete. In the years to come, the fleet will sail again, 6 more times, to India, to Africa, to the edge of the known world and back. And then it will stop. A new emperor will sit on the dragon throne. He will look inward instead of outward. He will issue a decree. The ships will be left to rot in the harbor where they were born. The greatest fleet the world has ever seen will return to silence. The wood will soften. The masts will fall. The sails will dissolve into the rain. And the river will take the rest. But tonight, none of that has happened. Tonight, the sails are full. The hull is whole. The compass needle points true in its bowl of still water. 28,000 souls are breathing together in the dark. The spice is in the wood. The stars are in their places. The ocean remembers every mile. And you are safe. You are carried. You are home. Sleep now. The deep water will hold you until morning. This has been Kaito. Thank you for sharing this voyage across the deep water. Wherever your own stars may guide you tomorrow. Tonight, you are safe. Rest well, and good night.